you thinking about opening up your own brokerage, have your own real estate company, and just be your own boss? I can relate. That's exactly what I did. In fact, I passed my broker's exam in 30 days and in the process of all the paperwork. So I just wanted to share exactly step by step to go ahead and do that to hopefully help you. If this is your first time to my channel, my name is Adela Phillipson, and I have been a realtor for more than 4 years. In fact, full-time the entire time. And just from so much experience in transactions, I thought, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to be my own broker. I know exactly how to run other companies. I don't really see the difference in doing my own real estate brokerage. So the nitty gritty of the paperwork and the steps is a little bit different compared to opening up other companies, but this is specific to real estate. So if that's you, go ahead and stick around. I'm going to share you all the little details, okay? So first and foremost, you're going to want to notify your current broker. This is to protect if you have any current active listings, or maybe you have some pending contracts or anything just kind of pending. You want to save that compensation. You don't want to give 50% of your compensation just because you ended up opening up your own brokerage. So with mine, I did have to give them at least 3 days notice. So the first step in this case is to notify broker. Make sure to get it in an email, not a phone conversation or an in-person conversation. So make sure to get an email. That's the first one. The second is to sign up to pass and take really your real estate brokerage course. I did the live stream so I can be home, since I am a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a homeowner, and I do actually have business going on, so I didn't want to lose any time in being in an actual physical class. So it'd be like 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. That's an hour every day. I could do so much more during that time frame. So I did sign up for the 4-week. In fact, it cost me about $500 to sign up for the course. When you sign up for the course, you want to be quick about doing your fingerprints, because you do have to do another background check. I actually did that with the school. That cost me about $80. And I also signed up, actually, this is interesting. When I did my fingerprints, about like 2 days later, I already got an email saying that my fingerprints were clear and my background check was clear, and that I had permission to go ahead and sign up for my state exam. And everything just kind of happened quick. So I went ahead and signed up for my state exam the day after class would be over, because I knew I was going to take my class exam immediately after class was over. So the state exam, that cost me about, I think it was like $80 or $100. It's just been a little while since I did it. The second step in this case is real estate course, broker course. So that's the second step, okay? So now the third step is to, of course, pass the class exam. Now you're like, Adela, this is so obvious, but I promise you, stick with me. It all adds up and it all builds up. And I promise you, these are the 12 steps. I want to point out, when you do pass your class exam, you're going to get your certificate, and then you're also going to get this, technically certification of completion. Now, I am in the state of Florida. Keep in mind, I don't know what state in terms of what they look like, but this is pretty much what I did. When I went to take my state exam, I gave her both of these, and she just kind of took one and did like a copy. Like, you cannot take your exam without this, and you cannot take your exam without your email confirmation. There were 2 people ahead of me waiting, doing photos and checking in or whatever, and they didn't have this. And so they were denied, and she was like, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to reschedule, which, you're like in the mode to take the exam and you can't. So make sure you have your paperwork in order, and make sure you read everything that you're supposed to take. You can't, like, can you imagine you're like stressed and you're there to take the exam and she's like, you don't have your papers with you. So in this case, the fourth step is to take your class certification letter with you for the state exam. So we're going to say paperwork. And I'm saying this because there were people that were denied, okay? So listen to me, I did this. Paperwork for state exam. Okay, here's step 4. Those are your 4 steps so far. If you really want to open up your own brokerage, you're going to watch this entire video. As boring as it may be, then it means you're serious about your business. Okay, so step number 5 is you're going to pass your state exam. You know why? Because you can't have your own brokerage if you haven't passed your state exam. And if you need help on how to pass your class exam or state exam, I did do a separate video. I'm not going to talk about how to in this video, but if you want to watch that, click on the card above, or just better yet, wait until the end of this video. So there I am, I passed. I took my course, I took my class exam, and I took my state exam all in 30 days. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Okay, so pass state exam, that's step 5. And this is the nitty gritty I think a lot of people get really nervous about when it comes to actually opening up your brokerage exam. It is creating an LLC. I know I've heard even like big names like Alex Hormozi talking to young 20-year-olds, and he says, open up a company. And they're like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And they don't even know really how to. I have opened up many companies, and it's super easy, especially once you do it so many times. So that's why I'm telling you this. So in the state of Florida, what you're gonna do is go to SunBiz. Now, if you're in a different state, of course, you're going to have a different government website. Hopefully you are aware of which one that is. But in the state of Florida, it is SunBiz. And you go on there and you open up an LLC. I'm not here to tell you which to open up. You're going to want to talk to your accountant because I have other companies. My accountant has always said, Adela, you're going to have your LLC and you're going to run it as an S Corp. In the state of Florida, and I'm not an accountant, but in the state of Florida, I am allowed to have an LLC and operate it as an S Corp. Otherwise, you can have, in another state, you can have an S Corp. But again, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a professional advisor. I'm just telling you what I did and what my accountant recommended to me and how I am opening up my companies. I am a multi-member LLC, so that way it's more difficult to pierce the corporate veil. So I am an LLC. I went to SunBiz. Now, when you actually open up a company, most people get very nervous in terms of what the box fields say. There's going to be manager and member. Manager will typically be you, since you are going to be the broker. Okay, so my husband is a real estate agent as well. I am the broker. So in this case, for the LLC, I am the broker. So in case you're husband and wife, for example, whoever is the actual broker, the person who's going to be the manager, the running active broker, licensed broker for the brokerage, is going to be the manager. So that's who you put down as manager. And then my husband is considered a member, because broker associates and sales associates are not allowed to be managers of LLCs or owners. They can be shareholders, but not owners. Same with the LLC. They can be members, they can be members, not managers. So when you're actually filling out the paperwork, it'll say on there MG for manager and MBR, I believe it's for member. So you can kind of fill that in accordingly. If you're really afraid of all the company paperwork, you could have your accountant just set it up. It's like, they'll probably charge you anywhere from $300 to $1,000 for the paperwork of all this hassle. But because I've done it so many times, I felt comfortable just doing it myself. So another part of company setup is the registered agent. There is a section on there when you're on SunBiz. It specifically asks you and explains to you what a registered agent is all about. And you can Google why it's important to be a registered agent. Can you be a registered agent in your state? In the state of Florida, I am allowed to be my own registered agent. And registered agent primarily has to do with if you were to be sued, if you were to get notifications, if you were to be served notices, who is responsible for receiving it and the address to ensure that that mail-in notice actually arrives to the owner. So for example, if you were to have be set up in Delaware people use that so they can kind of like hide. And quite honestly, I have nothing to hide. I run a clean business. I have very high ethical, moral standards, everything. So if at the end of the day, I'm gonna be served with some kind of notice or lawsuit or someone's upset about something, instead of it going to a third party and then them saying, hey Adela, you have this letter, I would rather just receive it directly because I'm very responsible. And for someone to tell me I received a notice, I don't feel like paying them $400, $500, $600, whatever, to use their address as a registered agent. Just my opinion. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just how I choose to operate as my company. Since I'm not going to be having agents, I have no one else to be responsible for other than myself. And of course, my husband. That was step 6, open LLC. And that actually cost me $138 in the state of Florida to open it up. Once you, because it's all electronic, it's all very fast. Once you actually go ahead and open up your LLC and pay the $138, you get an email notification really quick with your documentation. And in fact, you get an email saying, open up your EIN, get an EIN with the IRS. So there's an irs.gov link and you click it and guess what? You sign up for an EIN. It means employee identification number. The government wants to know who you are. It's kind of like a social security number for a person, but in this case, it's a very sensitive number for a company. So I won't be showing that on my computer because that is very confidential. When you actually apply for your EIN, I forget if you get it instantaneously, like within the hour or the next day, but it's all very electronic. I think it's like within the hour, maybe even 10 minutes. So you're going to file for EIN with irs.gov. So that is going to be step 7. Okay. Now, the EIN, all the paperwork that you get regarding your EIN, make sure to print it, save it, have it. That is what you need to open up a bank account. In case you've never opened up a company, business bank account, that is the documentation that you need. So that EIN information is very, very important. In fact, if you open up an LLC, you want to print out your confirmations. You get your EIN, print out your confirmations. After you've even opened up your LLC on Sunbiz, go and search your name, search business. And if you don't even know how to do that, go onto Google and say how to look up a company name or how do I look up an LLC. And usually you get redirected to your state website and it just says search name. And you can enter your new company and you can even print out your articles of organization. Now, every year, you're gonna have to do an annual report, filing report. And that is, I think, $125 a month, or excuse me, a year. With that being said, if you have a third party set up your company, or maybe you have a registered agent, not only are you looking at that $125 and to do an annual report, but you're also looking at the fee to use their name and address on your company. So you're looking at $500-600 a year to keep your company up and running. Whereas for myself, because I'm very frugal, it's just $125. Or is it $138 now? Yeah, $138 is their newer fee. It used to be $125. We've done steps set through 7. Now, the newest, latest thing that the United States has done to help prevent fraud, or kind of like a fraud monitor, is a BOI filing. BOI is just, I think it's beneficial ownership interest, where you have to specify who owns what company, because there are so many international companies or companies in general that come to the country. They have Delaware, they try and be all shady and try and hide. Well, the government's like, okay, you can't really come here and do business under different names and entities and us not know who's responsible for when something goes wrong. So BOI is recent. I did already go ahead and do that even last year for all my companies filing. So after you open up your LLC and after you get your EIN, you're gonna wanna do a BOI e-filing. In fact, I was notified, and it tells you after you do all of that, like after you do your LLC, after you do your EIN, you also get an email. And so they tell you, they communicate a lot, you know, the government and the state about what you need to do. But those are the steps in which they happen. So that's the 8th step. All right. Now, since you passed your state exam, congratulations. Pearson VUE notifies the state, and then they update your license. So I covered my license here, but instead of SL, it says BK, the initial sales associates. It's BK for brokers, and it has my number. So I got my certification kind of like an email, like, congratulations, we've updated your record. We recognize you as a broker associate now. So you will end up receiving that. So keep an eye out, because that will signify that you can kind of like continue with the process, because you don't want to keep doing more paperwork and there's an error, like they didn't get your report that you're not a broker's license. So you're going to get your broker's associate license. Just keep an eye out. I want to say it took maybe about 7 to 10 days to finally get it. But in the meantime, I was able to set up my company. It doesn't, you know, just because you're waiting doesn't mean you can't do certain things. So that's step number 9, is making sure that the state has recognized that you passed your state exam. All right, now we're almost done here, but this is very important because this kind of scared me, and I had to talk to my accountant about it. And believe it or not, I got really scared that I called him. I was like, help me. I've opened up business companies before, but this is so different. I'm getting these error messages, blah, 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 whatever. So step number 10, I had to Google. Believe it or not, this was really hard to find, and I'm kind of irritated that they don't make it so easy. But it took me like 2-3 days to figure out how to properly apply for a real estate company with DBPR. This is the actual form. It's called DBPRE7 Real Estate Company Application, okay? So what I did, there's 2 ways, and they don't make it easy on screen. It said like print out and mail or fill out online. And I was like, I could do it online. But what's funny is like the online version says you still have to print. If you don't have a printer, you're screwed in real estate. When it said do it online, it said, okay, you can do it online, but you still have to print it. That's silly. So you have to print the application, fill it out, and scan it, and then upload it to do the online version. Get it? So I was like, you know what? Since they're having to do all of this, they're probably not really caught up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make it easy for them. And I just went ahead and printed it, put an old school stamp on the envelope, licked it, sent it off into the mail. I'm like, it's okay. I can wait a little while longer while they actually process it. And not only that, but when I was trying to do the online version, some of the questions I didn't 100% understand, but I did understand the actual paperwork. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and fill it out and let them figure it out. I'm sure they know exactly what they're doing, right? So anyways, I went ahead and printed that application out. I filled it in, I sent it off, and I waited. So that is actually step number 10. And I did have to send a $77 fee or check. You need checks. $77 check along with the application. So it's going to be real estate. application, which they made it so difficult to find. And it is RE7, DBPR RE7 real estate company application. Good luck finding it, but I promise you it's there. It took me a while to hunt it down, but it's there. And I just did the paper version. So that's number 10. We have 2 more to go. Okay, so get this. After weeks of waiting, this is the trouble I got into. After weeks of waiting for the application, because I kept checking like for some kind of email, your real estate company has been approved. They sent me a notification saying you messed up on your application. Don't worry. We have attached the correction paperwork to fix your mistake, and we need $30 for this correction. Please do not apply again. Do not do another application. Just go ahead and fix it. And I'm reading it, and there was like 3 options. And so I'm kind of like reading it, and I realized they wanted me to remove the LLC. And I'm thinking, oh, am I not allowed to be an LLC as a real estate company? That doesn't really make sense, but if that's gonna make this process easier, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and remove my LLC. Maybe they're gonna naturally just make me into an S Corp or a corporation, because maybe a multi-member LLC, and they're like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna help you out, fix it for you. And I thought, okay, fine. But in the meantime, I called my accountant and I told them, I said, hey, I got this email from DBPR. They said I made a mistake on my application. I'm kind of freaking out. It's been so long. I just want to have my real estate company up and running. And they said I have to remove my LLC off of there. And he said, Adela, that sounds so wrong. I said, please help me. I don't care if I have to start over. I'm desperate. I'll pay you. And he said, okay, send me all the paperwork that you have, and let's figure out like what's going on, because this doesn't make sense. So I went ahead and did that. And then after he received it, he called me back. And actually, no, forgive me. We spoke, right? I said, please go ahead and do it. And a few days passed, maybe about like, I don't know, maybe a week. I think it was kind of like Thanksgiving time frame. But long story short, I ended up getting an email from DBPR saying that they actually removed the LLC on my broker associate's license, because I've always been an LLC since I've been doing real estate for protection purposes. So I was actually an Adela Phillips, an LLC, as a sales associate and then a broker's associate. But you cannot be an LLC or a PA because that's considered an entity in the eyes of the state at DBPR. So you have to remove that, because only an individual, an actual broker, a person, a licensed person can own a real estate company in a brokerage. So they actually sent me the paperwork to remove the LLC off of Adela Phillips and LLC. And then that way they can actually approve my real estate company application. So that's what the $30 was for. In fact, I explained that to my accountant, and he explained that to me. He goes, Adela, if anyone ever wants to go from broker associate to broker owner, they have to remove the LLC or PA off of their actual license to get approved to get their real estate company. So that's that. So that is step number 11. Remove LLC or PA from license. Hopefully, if your brain is blowing up, I can relate. Try figuring this out all on your own. I did. But you're welcome. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy to share this because nobody talks about this. No one shares this. And I just thought if I could just make the one video, and if I could just help that one person in the middle of whoever, wherever, whatever is trying to figure this out, and no one's helping them, I just want to do this for you. So if you do that, please leave me a comment, call me, text me, send me a message. I would love to know anybody who actually tries to do this from step 1 to step 12. All on their own. If I can do it, you can do it. I promise. I do. I promise. Just trust the process. And if all else fails, call your accountant. Again, I'm not giving you personal advice. I'm just telling you what I did and what happened to me. This is very important. After you've passed your exam, you studied, you passed your exam, you opened up your LLC, you have your EIN, you sent in your application, you get approved. You can't just like be taking listings. Now you actually have to sign up with your association. And because of course I paid my annual association fees recently, you're going to upgrade to broker, which is a $50 fee. So you're going to upgrade with your association because you need to be considered a separate entity and separate broker with your association, have your own MLS ID, and really be on MLS. Until you have this, you cannot transfer your listings from your broker or past broker to your current broker. In fact, my MLS gave me this sheet, listing release form. I fill it out, previous broker here. They fill it out, I fill it out, and we both sign. So that way it's super easy for my clients to transition and I don't have to worry about them canceling and then me creating new listings. Along with that is all this paperwork. This was for the association. Yeah, and then transfer your listings. So hooray, we did it. Now, I hope this is helpful. If you want to figure out how to actually pass your real estate broker exam, class exam, and state exam, I did do that video I promised you from the beginning. So go ahead and watch that here if you want to follow along and watch me grow from $100,000 a year as a realtor to $1 million a broker just by myself. I'm not planning on having a big brokerage. It's just, virtual, myself. It's just my home office. And I have seen other agents do it, and I know I can too, and I know you can too as well. It's possible. Definitely be your own broker. Have your own real estate company and follow along here. See you guys later.